Okay, hello everyone. My name is Rebecca Wolford and I am the founder of Creative Habitat. And today I'm here with my mom and I'm really looking forward to working with her. We have been developing a workshop that she used to do with her staff as an elementary principal. She used to do this with her teachers, so I'm going to let her talk more about this. But we're really looking forward to working together, and I hope just sharing the inspiration that we feel God has given us. First thing first though, we're going to kind of switch back and forth. So she's going to interview me so you can hear a little bit about the Creative Habitat vision that God put on my heart. And then I'm going to interview her to hear about this clay activity that she did with her staff that is then inspiring this workshop that we are doing together to help busy moms discover and develop their creative gifts. And so Mom, if you want to go ahead and take it away, and then I will ask you your questions so they have a better idea of what we plan on doing and how we plan on serving together.
Hi, everyone. I'm looking forward to sharing a workshop together in the future, and it's a privilege to be here with the founder of Creative Habitat, Rebecca Wolford, and I'm going to be asking her a few questions as a very proud mama. Rebecca, what inspired you to start Creative Habitat?
Well, as you know, Mom, when I became a mom, I have very high standards for myself, and motherhood definitely throws you into the unknown, unlike any other situation in the best of ways, but it is also that catalyst to kind of reprioritize. And for me, as my mom knows, I really am drawn to the creative process. So I always grew up dancing and sketching and drawing, and I studied interior design, and so I felt like God was saying, you need to plug back into those things, and I'm going to make time for you. And I didn't know how, because your time just, the days fade into nights, fade into days, and somehow the time just goes really fast. But God did make that time for me to plug back into dance and writing. And so I started writing a blog on creativehabitat.org, and it totally refueled me. And I just realized that there's probably a lot of women who, just like me, kind of unplug from the creative gifts, and I call them creative gifts because I truly believe it's a gift that God gives us to experience that creative process. And that's how I really feel He speaks to me, is through that process of creating something from nothing. So again, for me, it's dance and writing. It looks very different for many other people. So I just really want to help other moms plug back into their creative gifts if they've unplugged, or if they haven't, just really affirming them in those creative gifts that God's given them. And the reason that I felt led to call it Creative Habitat is because I was actually walking with my son in a nature preserve that was near our house at the time, and there was a sign that said protected habitat. The concept is, I realized that I needed a creative habitat where my creative gifts could be nourished and protected, and so that's kind of the reason it's called Creative Habitat. And I'm so excited to work with you, Mom, because you are truly my inspiration. I literally would not be here without you, but I would not be pursuing this vision without your inspiration. So I look forward to interviewing you and hearing more about what we feel led to do together. So that was a really long answer, but I just did want to share kind of the backstory.
Well, when you interview me, it's going to be mutual admiration. Rebecca, what's a risk you had to overcome to start this nonprofit?
The risk I have to overcome is the self-doubt that I feel is constantly present in a creative process, because so much of the time it's not a linear process where you just know there's certain steps you take to get from A to B to C. In a creative process, it's very malleable, it's moldable, which we'll talk more about with the clay activity that we're going to do. But another thing that's a risk to me is just putting ideas out there, and even putting the idea of helping busy moms develop creative habits to refuel, not knowing how that's going to be received. I face that every time I do anything with Creative Habitat. So yes, that would be the risk.
Okay. What is one creative habit that has helped you develop and stay true to your vision, even when hurdles came your way?
So I just described the hurdles that come my way, and then just daily life. There's just random things that come up that if I have a plan for the day, it doesn't always go that way. In fact, most of the time it doesn't. But a creative habit I have is just kind of always keeping the vision for Creative Habitat in the back of my mind, and constantly writing or journaling, or putting together a weekly plan where I try to think of 3 things. I've learned that if I try to do one thing a day, it might happen, but if I have 3 focuses for the week, whether it be doing an interview like this, or if it is writing a blog post, or just developing some part of Creative Habitat, that keeps my mind focused and that helps me to just stay fueled. Like I really love that creative process. And so just keeping it in the back of my mind and always having those 3 things each week that I want to try to get to, and then being gracious to myself if those don't always happen on the exact timeline and day that I set for myself. So yeah, kind of setting a plan and working towards it, but always keeping it in the back of my mind so that it's something to kind of look forward to and work on.
Okay, so how do you balance motherhood with developing Creative Habitat?
It can be challenging because I want to give all of myself all the time, and motherhood does require all of you all the time. So it does require carving out a little bit of time and space and really coordinating with my husband. And also, when I first started Creative Habitat, I put out an ad for a babysitter for 10 hours a week. And at that time I was working full time, and I asked for lesser hours at work. So I worked 80% time. So I had 1 day off a week. That was my creative day. And so I really just prioritize creative time and space, knowing myself and knowing that I need that time to refuel so I can be the best mom and balance motherhood and this creative vision I feel like God's given me.
Okay. I'm hearing stay focused and extend grace to yourself.
Always. Yep.
Well, please share about one amazing person you have met as a result of developing your vision and starting this nonprofit.
I've met many amazing women as a result of just putting feelers out there and interviewing other, like I said, mom entrepreneurs or just other busy moms about, you know, what their needs are to refuel and what their creative gifts are. And some women don't even think they have creative gifts, but I'm just going to kind of generalize as to a group of people because it's hard to pick one person. I know when I ask these same questions to other mom entrepreneurs, it's hard for them to answer because truly, and this is why I'm so passionate about pursuing those creative gifts God's put on your heart, is because I think it leads you into conversations with other people to share your heart and hear theirs. And so I would just say I've had the opportunity to meet with many other moms who have taken risks, who have carved out that time, and who have really developed something, you know, where their creative gifts are used to serve other moms and other, you know, other people because they took that time. And so I'll just overgeneralize to say I've met amazing moms who've been willing to take the risk to take that creative time and space. And as a result, I feel like God has blessed them, and it's inspired me to keep taking those baby steps to develop, you know, this vision. So if anyone has seen the show Gilmore Girls, that is really a good example of a relationship that is similar to my mom and mine. We're very close, and I would say she's definitely one of my best friends as well as my mom, and that's why I'm so excited to work with her. And now I'm going to transition over to her and her inspiration for this clay activity that we have been working on to kind of transition it and mold it into an activity that could be used with busy moms, because it is something that she's used with her staff, as we talked about before, when she was a principal of an elementary school. So Mom, I'm gonna ask you a few questions. Let me get my questions up here on my phone. All right, so my first question, what inspired you to partner with me and join Creative Habitat?
It's been a blessing, an honor, and a privilege to be your mom and watch you grow into a creative, beautiful woman of God. And you have inspired me as a woman and as a mom. And my heroes have always been people who have overcome adversity. And that describes you. And so you are one of my heroes. You and I have talked and dreamed and prayed about working together someday to share our story and encourage other women. God allowed me to serve as an educator for 35 years, and as much as I was blessed in my roles as an elementary teacher and assistant principal and principal, the role that I have grown the most and been inspired the most is the role of mom. And I believe inspiration promotes action. So after my retirement and praying about what's next for me, God laid on my heart to support you and the vision that I believe He's given you for Creative Habitat.
Thanks, Mom. So sorry, sometimes it's hard to take that kind of feedback. Like, I don't know how to respond, but I know my mom is amazing and loves me. And sometimes I tell her when I have bad days, I just remind myself that God chose me to be her daughter, and she's an amazing woman. So that definitely encourages me. So just want to share that here as well. Okay, so now just to move things along, because we could go on and on, can you please share more about the vision for the Forming Hands clay activity that you led as a professional development workshop for the teachers at your school during the 10 years you served as principal? And I will just point to this, one second. This sculpture, because I know that this has had a huge impact on you. So this is the potter's hands. And so if you can just talk a little bit about the inspiration of this sculpture and the clay activity that you led with your teachers, and then that we are going to be leading with Busy Moms.
Okay, well, I became a principal in 2005, and I was praying about the best way to start the school year with a new staff. And I also have this sculpture. Everyone who's important to me has this sculpture. I was introduced to this sculpture called Forming Hands months before my new job began. And the sculpture inspired my heart on many levels. So I used the sculpture to introduce myself to my new staff, and also let it serve as a visual reminder of what happens daily at schools. Our hands as educators are used to help mold and shape the lives of children, but more importantly, we as educators are shaped by the children that we serve. So the first day of school, every staff member was given a lump of clay, and they were asked to keep it somewhere where they could see it throughout the school year. And the clay was to serve as a reminder that we are all imperfect masterpieces, ourselves as educators and the children that we teach, and to also stay moldable and pliable as they worked with children. And then on the last professional day of the school year, each staff member was asked to shape their clay into a sculpture that represented their year, and some were very elaborate and some might have just been a square. So the sculptures were titled, and then teachers shared those sculptures. It was a wonderful, wonderful time of sharing. And when I say every staff member was given the lump of clay, it wasn't just the teachers in the classroom. It was the custodians, the secretaries, the women who worked in the lunchroom, because we all worked with kids. So what was going to be a one-year activity for the 2005-2006 school year became a yearly activity that was embedded into our school culture until I retired in 2015.
And my mom was a principal while I was in college, so I'd come home from college and it was always the end of her school year, and I remember her bringing home all these diverse clay sculptures that these teachers had put together and cooking them in the oven because it was Sculpey clay. So they'd cook them and then they'd put them in a display for the upcoming year for parents and kids to walk by and see, along with the sculpture behind me that she has. So anyway, that's something I remember coming home to and just being amazed at some of the things that the teachers shared and just how diverse those sculptures were. So it's definitely an activity that inspired that kind of heart reflection, and my mom's all about reflection, as am I. And so I think that that's something I'm really excited about, Mom, partnering with you to help, other moms kind of reflect back on their creative gifts and how God may want to mold and shape them to use those gifts moving forward. So moving on to the next question. As you know, at Creative Habitat, I'm all about helping moms develop creative habits to refuel, because I really believe we are kind of the result of the habits we create, and to really carve out that time and space to use your creative gift. In my experience, it has had to become a habit, and so that's why I'm really passionate about creative habits. So what is one creative habit that has helped you develop and stay true to this clay activity, even when struggles may have come your way?
I created a mission statement years ago, And my mission statement is love God, serve others, stand firm, and finish well. And I used a creative process to develop this mission statement. But living this mission statement has me on my knees daily, asking God to creatively use my hands, my mind, my heart to honor Him and make that difference that I want to make in the lives of others.
Awesome. So always thinking of that mission statement is your habit, and how can whatever actions you take support that mission statement. Can you say that mission statement one more time?
My mission statement is love God, serve others, stand firm, finish well. And it's 4 very short statements, and it seems so simple, but it took me weeks and months to develop that and really get the words down to what I really felt like God was telling me that I'm all about. For instance, the serve others. At first I had educate others, but it was more than educate. The reason I was an educator was to serve. So yeah, it was a process.
And that's why we're here to do this activity with you all, because we want to serve and we want to bless using the gifts that God has blessed us with. So you're going to get to experience that part of my mom's mission statement, most definitely, and serve others and love others. That is the goal for this. Okay, so next question, we're down to 2 more questions. How do you believe this clay activity is relevant to helping busy moms discover and develop their creative gifts?
So I believe that the clay activity is a way for our minds and hearts to be still, reflect, and focus on the unique strengths and gifts that God has blessed us with as we physically soften and mold our clay that we're given during this activity.
Definitely. And I just want to clarify, I think you did a good job explaining how you use this activity with the teachers, but when I was sharing about this activity with a few other moms, sometimes they thought it was like those paint workshops where someone shows you how to paint and then you paint the same thing and everyone does it. And that's not at all what this activity is. Everyone gets a piece of clay and everyone's clay is going to be different at the end. While we help facilitate this workshop, we are trusting that God comes in and really speaks to you. So He is the ultimate facilitator and speaker. We just kind of lead you through the activity that my mom has done for 10 years now. We like to say that we show up and then we see how God moves through that process, that creative process with that clay. So we just give you all a lump of clay and we do not show you exactly how to shape it.
There is no right or wrong.
No, it is a creative process like we talked about. So, okay, Mama, well, final question. What is your prayer for the moms who experience this workshop?
Well, my prayer is for each mom to understand that they are fearfully and wonderfully made by a creative Heavenly Father who loves them. And each mom is unique and there is no one like them. And also to understand that our Creator has given each one of us talents and gifts that are unique to us. And I believe that taking time to develop these God-given talents or creative habits will refuel the soul, and God will use this time to help each mom know that she can be an inspiration to her family, her friends, the people that God has placed in her life.
Definitely. Well, my prayer, I'm going to use some of the sculptures. My mom loves to give me these willow trees, so I have several upstairs, but I chose 2 of my favorites. So my prayer is that the women who experience this workshop will feel like this, embraced by God's love. I know this is a mom and a daughter. Thank you, Mom. I had this in the hospital room when I had my daughter, by the way. But I want you to feel that embrace. And my prayer is that through this activity, you walk out of the room just feeling encouraged and affirmed in your creativity by your Creator. And then another one of my favorites of these willow trees is this one. And I love that she just has her hand out, basically open to whatever I feel blessings God gives her. And so that is my prayer as well for this workshop, is just that everyone can come in with an open heart, an open mind, and just leave with, I don't have a little clay thing. I have an M&M here. We'll pretend that's for clay. Something tangible to represent whatever God spoke to them through this activity. So yeah.
That's very creative, Becca.
Oh, thank you. Well, I needed my little chocolate fix. So anyway, that's another habit. I pretty much always have chocolate around because it's a good, pick me up at any point. So anyway, we will be praying for those of you who choose to do this clay activity and workshop with us. Please just follow the link below to complete more details about your group, because we really do try to mold the workshop to meet your group's needs. And it's about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the size of the group and level of sharing. So again, just if you could fill out the link below, we will be in touch to schedule a time. And then we'll really look forward to hearing your stories afterwards. I hope that you will share with us some pictures perhaps of the clay creations that you felt led to develop. So thank you so much for taking time to learn more about us and why we feel inspired to serve through this creative process. So God bless you, and we will look forward to hearing from you.